Hi. How's the coffee, buddy?
Coffee, buddy. Oh, yes, very good. Yeah, I should just have a big get together at my home and get all my friends to come over.
Morena, everybody, and welcome to our Policy and Projects Committee meeting on Wednesday, the 9th of April. We'll begin with our Karakia Timatanga, outstanding. Up on the wall to the left. Mai te pai, mai apologies. I have an apology from His Worship. Yeah. Do you have any other Councillor Williams?
Yes.
Someone to move those apologies. Thank you, Councillor Newman, seconder. Thank you, Councillor Gallen, all in favour? Against? Carried. Conflicts of interest? Conflicts of interest? No. Public forum? No public forum. Confirmation of the minutes from our 19th of February meeting. I'd like to move that they are true and accurate record. Thank you, Councillor Campbell, seconder. Thank you, Councillor Della, all in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. We don't need item 6. For item 7, we'll move straight on to reports. And 7.1, waste management and minimisation update with Suresh. Welcome.
Karakia, Chair, Councillor, staff. Just providing a brief and quick review of the waste minimisation updates for the last few months. I take the report as read. As I can still see, in the last project policy, we got that we would like to see the figures for the last few months of the waste and recycling. So that's why you can see the graph. And we take the feedback as taken, and we definitely would love to proceed ahead with some sort of infographics in the near future. A few important updates. So we are heading towards the procurement process for the waste shed services. We do have time to time general meetings with the general managers, steering group waste selected members, and all 3 officers of the VARAP are working collectively towards it. We have recently communicated, and we are currently doing the procurement for the tire-wise product stewardship scheme. So what that means that our residents would be able to drop off 5 tires per week per resident free of cost. And that would be something which we have a very good feedback from the residents as well. And one quite few updates. So I kept my promise, and the new world Carterton has been communicated, and they have agreed to do a 2-month trial period for the soft plastics lid. We have quite a few of the schematics to be still figured out, and then you can definitely see the project running and going. And with the service request, of course, Smart Environmental doing a very nice job. And for the next steps, we are just looking to work with the e-cycle at Farmerston not to start the trial, and there are quite a few circumstances that was holding us up, but now we are good to go for the trial, and we can definitely see some outcomes in the upcoming future. And yeah, I'm open for any comments or questions if anyone have any.
I had a couple of questions, but you've answered them.
Good job.
So I'm going to probably ask the questions that just some dates around those. Couple of things to do with like the new world with soft plastic. When do you anticipate that will start?
So we currently have discussed this with Packaging Forum, and the idea and the process is that we would collect the bin first. We get the bins and the liners delivered first, and after that we can start the 2 months trial discussion. If to give you a rough idea, it would be I'll be very practical. Sometime right just about the Easter holidays. Currently not.
And The same with Taiwise. When do you anticipate?
I'm currently doing the procurement for the tower. There are certain questions which was asked from the general manager. So as soon as I answer those questions, we can definitely move forward with the scheme.
Okay, thank you. I had another question around the organic collection trial. I'm just wondering how that's progressing.
Yep, thanks for bringing that up. So in the last projects policy, we have mentioned that Tonkin Taylor was awarded the contract for doing the feasibility study for us. And we are quite happy progressing right now. They are currently involving the stakeholders to get involved with the feasibility study, and we are having a fortnightly meeting with the contractor, all the three officers combined. So it's looking very positive, and to be honest, we are very much confident that the feasibility study will be completed within the given time.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Travis, really good news that the Taiwise scheme, really good. That might alleviate a lot of problems that you see around town now. But also the New World, the soft plastic recycling scheme, obviously there'll be parameters around that about condition of soft plastic.
Correct.
You put in the bin. It's obviously got to be clean, and is there a
Yes.
protocol that's got to be followed, or?
Yes, so the idea of the scheme is to choose a supermarket. The first priority is the supermarket because they are they're being monitored all the time, and it's a time frame like at 10 p.m. I guess Newell is closed, so you can't get any sort of contamination from the residents out there. So we had a detailed discussion and meeting with Newell, and we have decided a location which is right near the foyer of the Newell, and our staff and we will be also monitoring and taking care and collection of the bin. So it's still, that's why the 2-month trial period, so that we can know that what are the things that going forward we need to take care of, and then we can definitely move ahead with it.
Thank you.
If I may add to that, Chair, as with any type of recycling, education is going to be a big part of that, and we will continue to educate the community on that as well. So there's still people that sometimes get it wrong down at the transfer station, or putting the wrong recycling in the wrong bin. So similar with soft plastics, we anticipate we'll probably see similar behaviour, and then over time it will improve. So
That's really good news. Thank you.
Councillor Lawrence.
I was struck by the tyre-wise, 5 tyres a week. Does that mean someone's going to dump 250 a year, or is it just one set of tyres? I mean,
5 tires a week is a limit from the tire-wise scheme. So one resident or one person can drop up to 5 tires a week.
yeah.
Of course, it as a council, and it's probably mentioned in the contract as well, that as councils or as the scheme operators, we have the right to see whether how much we can accept or not. So
It just seemed like a lot.
So technically, yes, if it's five tires a week, then you could get up to that number. I think we didn't decide on the number. That's what they're doing across the country. So it seems to be working. I think the only complexity in that is the condition of the tire. So we won't accept a dirty tire or tire that's on a rim. So there will still be a cost for cleaning a tire. So the focus will be on the customer to ensure that the tire is in a good, clean condition when they bring it in.
One, Sabish might wish to clarify whether it's a light vehicle tyre, a truck tyre, or a tractor tyre, because we are a rural district and there is a significant difference in the cost of dealing with heavy vehicle, truck and tractor tyres.
that's a good question. So currently the scheme is for non-commercial tires, which is light vehicle tires only.
Any further questions? Councillor Ayling, welcome. Sorry, I missed you
Good
earlier.
morning. No, that's right. Thank you. Just a comment. I really appreciated that information you provided with the new government's priorities for different areas of waste. I thought that was really interesting, and I wonder if you could talk to that a little bit. And overall, it seemed quite positive. That there seems like lots of initiatives that will hopefully take some cost off council.
Yes, so recently government has announced new waste strategy programs. And just to give you, I will not go into too much details, but government is currently focusing and restructuring the waste hierarchy so that we are targeting more on reuse and refuse. So that's, you can read in the report as well that we will definitely move forward with those two criteria as a top priority. And as soon as we get more and more government mandates from the Ministry for Environment, we can definitely work with it likely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Satish. I just have a couple of things just in relation to your report. It's a shame when the government do flip-flops and change their mind all the time, and we get used to something that they present to us and we want to move forward with it as a community, and it frustrates me when they decide to postpone it or cancel and I think it's great that we're moving forward with our organic food collection and getting that data, and because there is still funding available that we might be able to use and to be able to implement that here. And the same with the container return scheme. I really hope they do consider bringing that in, because it'll make a massive difference. I don't have any further questions. Is there any further discussion for Satish?
Probably just one comment. Thanks, Steve. The waste summary, the figures are still going the right way, which is really good. Recycling in 19,000 kg, but only go to landfill 14,000. The glass recycling was amazing, 31,000 kgs in January. That's a hell of a lot of glass. Must have been a good Christmas.
Certainly good. Do you have that outside your place?
Yeah, I do. No, it's really good, and I'm pleased that those figures are still tracking in the right direction. It's really good.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Stuff. Well, thanks, Satish. We have one recommendation, and that's that we receive the report. We have a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Lawrence, Councillor Gallen, all in favour? Against? Carried. Thanks, Satish. 7.2, our climate change strategy 25-30 slide.
Whatever, koto. So I'll take it that the revised strategy has been read, but essentially what we've presented to you today is a reflection of the draft strategy that we brought to you prior to Christmas, and we've gone out for community engagement and then taken back all that feedback and then given it into this document here. So essentially for most of the content part at the start of the document, that's mostly remained the same, with the exception of that we've included the greenhouse gas inventories for the community, like for the district wide, as well as our older council organisational greenhouse gas inventory, as well as giving some more detail around the solar project that became operative in December. And then, so during the community feedback sort of period, we asked people generally to provide whatever comments that they had on the document, but we wanted them to rank the actions that were provided in order of what they thought was important, and as well as giving any comments or feedbacks or ideas around how they would like to see that action sort of implemented. And so objective one kind of had the most feedback and change, I suppose, or reordering, and that water resources and water security was very clearly the top priority to a lot of people. And that water tanks are very strongly supported. So it's really awesome that hopefully that's coming through the district plan sort of process. And then also a lot of feedback and commentary around planting, not necessarily for carbon sequestration sort of point of views, but the co-benefits, so the stormwater retention, the shade provision during summer, all that sort of stuff. And then walking and cycling was actually quite an interesting one, quite polarised. A lot of people very for it, a lot of people not so for it. So yeah, really important for some, not important to others. So kind of how do we balance those sort of different priorities there? Objective 2 mostly remained the same. a lot of support for working in partnership with other organisations, and then delivering education and skills-based sort of things. And then objective 3, mostly no change there from the feedback. And then mostly the feedback talking about how do we improve energy resilience for the council as an organisation. And so we've also included in there the feedback and themes. So essentially trying to capture the essence of what a lot of people were saying, but that is not necessarily a commitment. You know, if we've said, you know, commit to more solar, or, you know, as a themed feedback, that's not necessarily what we're going to do. But we might look into it if and when it is appropriate, if there's funding available, and that sort of thing. And then, yeah, essentially that's where it's at. And then next up, if everyone's happy with it, the next thing would be implementation plans that would begin from the end of this financial year, moving into the next financial year. Cool. And that won't be completed by me. It'll be completed by the new me, who is behind me over here, Ricky. Yeah, who is Carterton local, been here 15 years or so. So I still.
Questions?
It's a great document. Just on page 31 in relation to the Greater Wellington RPS, in the last paragraph, a sentence of the second paragraph, you say a recent plan change to the RPS has introduced new direction, including policies, etc., etc. The plan change one is still going through hearings and has not yet been adopted. So I'm just wondering, is it still the right thing?
Yes.
Statement in when the plan changes haven't been adopted yet?
So that was the wording that I received from Greater Wellington,
Okay.
but I can go back to them. Yeah, make sure that that's, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it is. I kind of,
I think, yeah, because it's past the appeals process, right? I mean, like there's no longer appeals can be made to the plan changes. But yeah, I think it's not
yeah,
quite.
it has, yeah. I mean, I'm sure it will have by this time. This is, and then just on page 35 under council emissions, it's next to the pie chart. You're missing the word council after Carterton district.
Sure thing. Thank you. That's
just in case that slips through the final edit.
yeah, thank you. Very much.
Thanks.
Questions? Anyone else? Oh, I just had a question just around data availability for whether there's any data from other councils around New Zealand relating to organic food collection and the increase in C&D recycling and just the impact on the emissions for those councils.
As in ones that have rolled out fees like food waste recycling stuff already.
Yeah.
I'm sure there would be, like say Christchurch has been doing green waste collection for a long time. I assume that's probably something Sabi should tell.
Look into that.
Yeah. In terms from an emissions point of view, Christchurch City Council would have probably reported on that at some point. And then Auckland, I imagine, would also have done that. Although that's only been rolled out in the last year or so, I think. So maybe that's not quite available yet.
Just be good to know, just as we move forward, any kind of data like that. But when we think about it for the benefits of Carterton, if we introduce an organic side of things, I think it'd be good to know.
Absolutely, I can have a look into what sort of information is available there.
Thank you. Mr. Dell?
Yeah, thank you. Just on page 41, the solar panel installation down at the wetlands on Gallen Road. I see there's some figures there now that we've expectations of generating $50,000 cost savings a year for a project that hasn't cost council anything. It's 1.7 mil of better off funding, and that's really fantastic. And we're reducing the CO2 use. So it's a really good initiative to get that up and running, and yeah, we just look forward to some actual figures from it. But it looks good at this stage, so well done.
And my understanding is that the 1.7, not all of that was spent on the solar.
That is correct. The solar panel project was around $400,000. It's not the full 1.7. The better off funding was distributed into other projects as well. Cool.
And yeah, sorry, those the figures that I put in there are kind of based on what
Yeah.
came through the tender process.
Further questions, discussion? So I thank you for your work on this document. Looking at it and reading through it, we're going to be sorry to you go, but we will welcome our seeing he's in the room.
Yes.
Welcome our new advisor.
Thank you.
We've got 3 recommendations, and the first one is that we received the report. I'm happy to move that. We have a second. Thank you, Councillor Cherry Campbell. All in favour? Against? Carried. Second one is that we adopt the climate change, Carterton Climate Change Strategy 25 to 30. Thank you, Councillor Della. Thank you, Councillor Newman. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Councillor Ayling, you're against?
Yes, thank you.
Do you want that noted?
Cheers.
Thank you. And recommendation 3 notes that prior to public release of the strategy, minor editing and changes in formatting may occur if required. I'm happy to move that. We have a seconder. Councillor Gallen, all in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you, Sky.
Thank you.
Okay. We go to 7.3. Positive ageing strategy update. This document's bigger and bigger all the time. Oh, lots of work.
Kia ora tātou. My name is Lisa Matthews, for those who don't know me. I am the Positive Ageing Strategy Coordinator for the 3 councils. So today I'm wearing my Carterton hat. I'm going to take the report as read, but I just really wanted to quickly bring some highlights to you. As I said, my role is the Positive Ageing Strategy Coordinator, and what that really is about is bringing a senior lens to our work to reflect our positive ageing strategy. Now, you'll see with the 6-month report, that's a all of council report, because actually we're all responsible for implementing the positive ageing strategy. And as you can see, the council actually is very busy in that space. And as I said, we all contribute to that. So I really wanted just to bring some highlights to you from my work. You can read about everybody else's work in their report, but my work, I wanted to highlight the 3 projects that I've listed there for your information. And in particular, the work I do with Greater Regional Council, Greater Wellington Regional Council. For those who don't know, I'm on the Public Transport Advisory Group. I'm actually only one of 2 people from the Wairarapa on that group of 25, and the other one has just resigned. So, so I'm there really representing older people, but I am also able to bring a sort of a Wairarapa vision to them. That has been a really useful correlation with my work in regard to being able to feed back into a range of different things that they do, including their strategies, but also things like their renewal of their contract with bus companies. They're about to renew their contract with the bus companies who provide the train replacement buses. And actually, I don't know if you know, but we've actually been very, very poorly served by the buses that replace trains in this area. in regard to actually their sheer accessibility and people with disabilities and older people being able to get on the buses. So not only is it a disastrous system in itself, but if you can't get up the steps, then you have to be hauled up by two burly men, is the stories that I've seen and heard. And so I've been able to really give feedback on how that hasn't been appropriate for us and our community. And I continue to go to that meeting every quarter, and we do cover a whole range of work from whether dogs should be on public transport through to the national rollout of the Motu Move, which is going to be the new national ticketing system, which the Wellington region will see in early 2026. So I just wanted to highlight that because that's quite interesting and relevant for our older people, but also for the Wairarapa as well. The other piece of work, now you may or may not know that 40% of people over 65 are only relying on their pension or their superannuation for income, and another 20% don't have much more. So we identified last year, a group of us from Age Concern to St John's, et cetera, that there are financial barriers to putting together a grab and go bag. So as a collective group, we've actually, last year we committed to putting together 50 grab and go bags. And so that's getting the bag, so getting the things that cost out of that bag. So that's the bag, the first aid kit, the torch, and some other things, and masks, et cetera. So really trying to take the more expensive things out of that. And so we have 50 grab and go bags to give away across the Wairarapa region, and of course some of those are coming to Carterton, and we've got a commitment to get another 100 more this year to give away. So it is really great. So you'll see some columns about that soon. Mitre 10 couldn't provide me 50 of the torches that I want, so I've had to go to another provider. So that sort of slowed it down a bit. But that's really, really exciting opportunity, and to give those away. The third thing is something that I haven't done, but I'm currently in the middle of doing, and that's actually looking at producing a resource around the word connections. And for me, how our older people connect with the community is critical. And I don't know if you've read it, but loneliness and isolation is actually can be as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So that seems really kind of extreme, but actually that's what the studies are showing. So loneliness is so much a problem that actually England has now got a Ministry of Loneliness. So I want to do a little bit towards that, and so I'll be putting together a resource based on that word connections, which will outline in different ways how people connect. So they connect with their library, they connect through exercise, they connect digitally, they connect by getting on public transport. And so that will be a little carry-away resource that people can have. And so I look forward to bringing you the final result of that. So that's the sort of three kind of big things that I've been working on and have at the moment. But I just wanted to bring a little highlight to you just to finish off my report. So if you want to take a look at the screen, this is 2 weeks ago, 26th of March. You may remember in a previous report, I highlighted that the numbers of people over 65 having accidents reported to ACC has increased over 100%. So that's everybody picking up their e-bikes and going for it, which is a fantastic thing. But at the same time, we're having a lot of people falling off their bikes. So Sandra Burles, the cycling and walking coordinator, and I organised a pedal ready training. Pedal ready is a free training offered by Greater Regional Council, normally for school children, but can also be done for adults. And here's our group of over 65. There was two more not in the picture. There's our little group of over 65s at the end of their training, and the two trainers behind them, and some little giveaways that we gave them. And the woman in the pink had ordered an e-bike and was picking it up the next day, and she felt emotionally strong enough to go to Masterton, pick up the bike and ride it home again. So that was just for awesome. And
Ferry.
sorry?
All the way to Lake Ferry.
No, she's a Carterton local, so did very well. And the woman on the left, she hadn't been on a bike for 15 years, and she just had her bike serviced. So here we have they want to get cycling, but there is a little bit of fear and terror involved. So, but no, that was a great session, and we will be, because of the regional nature of my role, we will be rolling that out into other areas. But that was a great success. So I just wanted to bring you a bit of fun to end the conversation. So, so that's me. Any
Thank you, Lisa.
questions from anybody?
How's it going?
The grab and go bags.
Yeah.
How are they funded?
And how did we fund them, or how are they normally funded?
Yeah.
Okay, so you will know, you may or may not, you can actually do your own grab and go bag. So basically it's a whole lot of stuff that you need to take away from your house in an emergency, and it usually includes shoes, a torch, or, first aid, your pills, etc. And if you can afford them, the Emergency Management Office sells a complete kit. I think that's about $250. It's cheaper to put them together yourselves. So what we've done is we've actually been able to access through REMA. We accessed 50 second-hand, the grab and go bags, the official ones, and then we St John's funded the first aid kit. South Wairarapa Rotary financed the torches, donations from chemists with hand sanitizer, and so that sort of thing. So that's how we funded it. But yes, they can be very, very expensive to purchase. Yeah.
50 is quite a few, isn't it? No?
Yeah, it did take a while.
Yeah.
I'm a bit scared to get 100, I do admit. Yeah.
So move down there. We've also got use public transport here, and I see you've got here not be able to travel both ways on the gold card.
Yes.
Agree.
Yes, and I did manage to get that on the radar of Greater Regional Council about several years ago, but then that it fell off again, unfortunately, and they're not going to look at it again. But we do. Wairarapa, of course, will be the first. We're first to get the new trains, so that's 2027, and we'll have the new trains, and timetable will double. So I'm hoping that there will be an opportunity to go back to Wellington and back again on your gold card, because that is one of the biggest complaints that I hear. Yeah, so I do appreciate what you're saying.
Good.
Further questions, Councillor Lawrence?
Kind of a big picture question. We have here at the council, we hear a lot of issues around shared services. And I just wondered if you had a quick comment about how your particular role is functioning across the three councils.
What I'd like to say about that is that given the nature of the amount of hours that working regionally is the most effective way for me to do this role. Did that make sense? I'm not sure if that made sense. What it does mean for me, which is a positive, is that I'm able to work with regional organisations. So I'm actually able, I'm not spending my time organising very small local events that can be organised by other organisations. I'm working regionally and actually nationally. I also am part of a national network. So I'm able to lift it a little bit above and actually be quite reasonably strategic, which for me, I find that's really, really positive. So it can be difficult at times in terms of walking into a building, three different buildings per week, but that's a whole other conversation probably.
Okay. I was just curious.
No, thank you. No, it's in terms of the work, I think it is. If you had three different positions and three different councils, you wouldn't be able to have that such a strategic oversight, and I think that is quite a smart thing. Thank you.
Further questions? Lisa, I've got a question just around,
Yes.
I think it's the grab and go bag.
Yep.
Fantastic. I'm just wondering if you've done any liaison with, obviously you're doing liaison with older persons, but just whether there's an opportunity to see whether they're prepared for an earthquake or something, and with, if they have to stay with, so they've got a minimal supply of water and food and so forth.
So that's I'm going to answer that two different ways. One is that actually the statistics that come out of Remo show that older people are the most prepared part of the population. So because of the nature of my job being part-time and across 3 councils, I don't speak directly to old, this sounds awful, but I don't actually have conversations on the ground a lot. But I have got a very strong network into the organisations such as Age Concern, St John's, et cetera, who are working directly with older people. So I rely on their feedback, and we once per year we come together and we do a issues-based conversation. What are the issues facing older people? Which actually goes into my work plan, which is where the idea for the grab and go bag came from, was actually that issue that was raised, sort of thing. So if I was on the ground that extent, I wouldn't be able to provide this sort of strategic oversight sort of thing. So I do rely on my networks into the community sector, for that feedback. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I just want to say it's a fantastic report. Thank you. It gives a great insight into the amount of activities that are available to our older persons in the Wairarapa. So
thank you.
So brilliant. Thank you for that.
I'd just like to say thanks for your energy at the table too. It's awesome. I love it.
That's how I roll. Yeah,
it's great.
We have one recommendation, and that's that we receive the report. I'm happy to move that. Second, Councillor Cherry Campbell, thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Okay. Carried.
Thank you.
4, Māori Responsiveness Action Plan Update.
Kia ora, tēnā koutou katoa. Mihi nui I te ata. This is a regular update to you on our largely internal operational plan around Māori responsiveness in the Te Ao Māori space. I take the report as read, and probably my highlight would be all through this hui this morning, you've seen this in action. So everyone that has come to the table has greeted you in Māori. We started our meeting with our karakia, and our climate change advisor was wearing her Te Reo Māori t-shirt. So it just really highlights how well our team are embedding tikanga and te reo into everyday work that they're doing. So really pleased to have that. Secondly, acknowledging our kaituitui, Sri Ngātuiri, who has brought a wee gift for you this morning. So along with the karakias that are on the wall, Shree's been leading a whole lot of just easy day-to-day resources for our team, and these are ones coming out to you as councillors very shortly, and to support your real learning. Yeah, happy to answer any questions on the report or the strategy itself.
Jerry. Questions, Jerry? No questions.
Oh, sorry, it's
Isabella.
reading. Page 67, the Whenua Land Cleanup Day. Can you just explain what it is? Are we involved? How can we
Not in a physical sense. So Ngāti Kahura Whitia are doing some work you would have heard previously about them regenerating land down south of the river. And we've supported, they're having a whānau clean-up day, and we've supported by providing skip bins for the clean-up. So for clearing of the whenua, so it's a garden area and things like that. So very small project, and we're not involved by way of staff or anything at this stage. I think this is one of the, Lisa talked about it before, about working regionally. And this is one of those situations where, although Ngāti Kahukura Whitia, their rohi stretches across the river, so some of it's in South Wairarapa, and then we obviously have a relationship and work with them around the wastewater treatment plant and ponds. And so by way of working with our, recognised Apu partner, although the land itself may be south of the river, we do this as part of our partnership with them.
Councillor Newman.
I have one question and then I've got comments for later, but the Te Tiriti workshop was like one of the best things I've ever done. When, is it going to be repeated every 3 years, or what's the plan for that ongoing?
At least every 3 years, ideally 2 years, but it really makes sense on an incoming, traineum. So maybe a new traineum at the very least. Yeah, but no, it's really valuable to set that ground understanding.
Yeah, it was amazing. Comments?
Absolutely.
I just think there's so many cool initiatives in there, and I'm excited to see it. Like the idea of hosting a council meeting out at Hurunui-Orangi, that's awesome. There's just a lot there, and I think recently I've seen a lot more going on in that space, and Cherie seems to be doing an incredible job, so thank you. I really love all of the stuff you're doing. So keep it up.
I know last training we were hosted out there for a council meeting, and it's really special.
Yeah.
It's a shame we haven't done it this term.
Any further questions, discussion?
A question just around the post-settlement entities. I understand from comments that we've had around the table about various things that's a direction that we're heading in more to, working with Rangatani and Kahanunu. There's not much mention of that in here.
No, so this is a plan we did set early last year, beginning, and then we've tweaked it as we've gone along. That is a development that ideally we'll be bringing in around the relationship side, but I guess that would start at a governance level discussion before we operationally would start to decide how you would like that to look on an operational level. So Cherie is working with the settlement entities on a daily operational, weekly hui with their staff. So at an operational level, we are working with them on certain things, particularly around engagement. So your latest decision around the name of the event centre. So we've just started that mahi engaging and how the iwi would like to start that process with you as well.
Because we are seeing them more at the combined council meetings and
That's right.
various other.
Yeah. Yeah. So at an operational level, we'll take our direction from you in that way.
Councillor Ayling.
My question was the point that you just made around the decision we made last week with the event centre name change. I was wondering what the process was there. One other thing that I was looking at, page 72, is talking about the development of a bilingual signage policy, which is set for this traineum. I'm just wondering if there's any information you can give us on that development, and if that's something that council will be part of.
We are just starting that work. So for October, and absolutely it'll be part of council. So we're doing some things on an informal basis, and obviously we have our event centre names already given to us some time ago. So we had talked about a formal policy a couple of years ago that is still sort of in progress. But yeah, council will definitely be involved in that process.
Thank you.
Any further questions, discussion? Got it, Jerry. I agree with Councillor Della. So great report, and I think we're making good progress. So.
And finally, I'd just like to acknowledge your and the Mayor's commitment to your individual Te Reo sessions. So thank you, and great to see it in action.
It's really enjoyable. Thanks to Sari. We have two recommendations there. I'm happy to take them both together. That we receive the report and that we note the progress towards the delivery of the Māori Responsiveness Action Plan objectives. Councillor Terry Campbell and Councillor Newman, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Yeah.
Your Jerry. Okay. 7.5. Major projects update.
Thank you, thank you, Chair, councillors. I'll be standing in for Christy today. He's out at Flat Point, finally finalising that project. So I'm it. I'll take the report as read, and then I just want to highlight a few things that's happened. So one, you would have seen that we've signed the purchase, the power purchase agreement with Mercury, which is great, and it would align well with those numbers that's been reported in the climate change report. So it's really dependent on the spot price of the day, but where it currently stands with the power price, it's actually looking really good. Noting that that's never the goal. That was never the goal of the project. The project is to reduce our usage. So even though we are reducing, when we do sell on the offside, it actually works out well for us. Then Flat Point is going extremely well. We did a lot of work in getting the resource consent approved. There was some river modelling, hydraulics, detailed designs, quite a process, and the work has been completed in almost less than a month, or just over a month, all the work. So we're pouring the final concrete today, and then we just need to do the QA on the stop bank. And throughout the modelling that we've completed, we're pretty confident that the works that we've done would have significantly improved the resilience of that Flat Point community. Then I would just like to highlight on the Frederick Street, it's noted in the report as the Frederick Street treatment plant building upgrade. That is not the chief end of the project. That is one of the ends of the project, but not the main focus. The main focus is changing from caustic soda to lime. That apparatus or mechanisms already been purchased. It's in our sheds waiting to be implemented. The extension of the building is just to house the change in treatment. But that's progressing well. We're waiting for the final architectural designs and building consent so that we can go out to the market, get that built, and then install or make the change over for treatment. With that, I will hand it back to you, Chair.
Johannes. Questions? Councillor Gallen.
Let's go. The depot abolition block. Any idea what sort of costing we were looking at?
So the approved budget in the long-term plan is $150,000. We haven't got all the prices in yet. We are set to have. We're pretty confident that we'll be under the budget. What we need to do is we're in the process of getting prices for the piles, then getting the building installed, and then connecting to the sewer main. So we don't foresee any overspend, so within the approved budget.
Good.
Councillor Lawrence.
A couple of things. The solar, I'm interested in the buyback price because I sell them a little bit. Is that commercial in confidence, or can you tell us roughly what the per unit price
So,
probably going to
so
be?
it's pretty standard for Mercury, and I assume it's for everybody, but it's 10% less the spot price. So
10% less the spot price.
yes, so throughout the day, there's various rates for depending on the hour of the day.
Right.
There's various charges, and then so it's the spot price that I don't have the total all the information around it, but they have there's a published schedule of what the spot price is, and then you get so when you distribute to the network during that specific time, then it's 10% less that price.
Oh, okay. So I'll show you mine if you show me yours. I get 12 cents.
Please don't.
I get 12 cents a unit for the little bit that we sell off the roof of the shop. But so is that order of magnitude what we're likely to get, or is it?
I did the,
No, don't say.
so we did a rough calculation the other day, and it was, and really it's, but so again, our focus is not to sell the electricity. Our solar is not, or our focus is not to buy electricity. So this is on the odd day. What we looked at the other day in terms of what we were receiving, it was around $3,000 to $4,000 a month on that particular day for usage.
Yeah.
So I can look into the detail, but like I said, it changed on the hour, and on the day it's quite volatile.
Yeah, it depends where the sun shines. But
The generation's relatively good. We had to wait. We only signed that contract 2 weeks ago. So now we can populate the dashboard with all the inputs, and then we'll be able to probably generate a report from that. We can prepare a generation report for the next policy projects if that's something that you're interested in.
Yep, as long as I'm too please. Thanks, Councillor Lawrence.
my other question was just around the sludge removal. Where we had to program in over the years of the long-term plan. Is that changing? Because it just says in here deferred. I just thought.
So we looked at the options for desludging the various options. We received feedback from professional services, and basically by the time we got the feedback, we were past the preferred time to actually implement or do the desludging. So we wanted to be in exactly the right time. So basically around October, November, when we're doing the process. So what that has done, so we have deferred the start of the actual desludging, but we are actively working on the solution of how are we gonna deal with the sludge, taking it out, and whether we need a resource consent amendment or not. So it might be deferred from the financial year, but still happen in the calendar year, and that's just around the practicalities of when would be the most suitable time to do it.
So over the next over 3 years or something, we were going to do it.
Yeah. And then the option, and we because we haven't signed any contracts or just finalized anything, we don't want to share too much on it. But what we are looking to do is to put a system in place where we can do continuous sludge removal and potentially accept sludge from elsewhere as well. But we are doing long-term thinking, and we don't want to create a problem for ourselves when we do desludge.
Further questions? Right. Councillor Dell.
Yeah, thank you. Johannes, the Frederick Street treatment building upgrade, the extension will obviously house your alternative dosing to lime, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Just wondering, looking ahead, and one day we're probably going to, and hopefully it'll be when the new entities and on track, we're probably going to have to look at the option of fluoridation. Is there any thought of constructing this building to, accommodate that when we get it or have to get it?
We didn't. Fluoridation hasn't been a specific focus of the upgrade. Our position has always been that if we are mandated to do it, then we assume that there should be funding available as well. I know that we've provided ample space in the building, so more than what we require. We're also looking to move the staff that sits down there in the temporary temporary accommodation, to move them into that building, and then we can dispose of that temporary office as well. So we haven't specifically looked at how much space you would need, or how we are trying to not only stick within the budget, but also look for any type of savings that we can generate under that budget.
Yep. Thank you.
A couple of questions, Johannes. Just around the headworks and that upgrade that's proposed. I've mentioned this before. Is there any possibility that we can look at that project and see whether it has the capability to possibly handle Greytown's wastewater, rather than we go ahead with this project and then in such and such a time, outside of us probably, they look to take on Greytown's wastewater, and then they've got to upgrade the headworks again. Just wondering.
So maybe a step back. We're in the finals. We've completed the procurement plan, and we should be going out to the market within the next week or so. That's when we go to the market, we're asking for a proposal. What we want the market to tell us is, give us a solution to get the best treatment between our reticulation network and our oxidation ponds. So that's the primary focus. We want to get the best quality of effluent into the oxidation ponds, because that will just improve everything. Now, what that looks like, the mechanics of what type of treatment that means, that's why we're asking the various companies to provide us with a solution. In the volumes, in terms of, to probably answer your question, in dealing with the volume, we would obviously allow for Carterton's network and growth. And what we could consider is, if we say, for instance, if we increase that capacity even more, like what does that look like? Because if we were to take on another network similar size of our waste, I would, depending on the volumes, I reckon it would require a significant increase in capacity of the headworks. So, but that can be considered when we're upgrading. We're going to be asking the market for something that's scalable. So if we wanted to, we've got a set budget, but they can give us alternative bolt-ons that can come at a later stage. So if we wish to, say, double our capacity, then we'd be able to incorporate that into the solution. Because what that means is that's not totally off the table. If there's a wish to investigate that option, then it can be done.
But you mentioned that it allowing for growth and what you're asking of the contractors. So is that just the infill in the existing urban area, or is that including the potential eastern growth?
We would probably work on the projections of the long-term plan, like align with what we're projecting, similar to the type of modelling that we're using for water consumption. So have some alignment with that. But then even in that, there would be a buffer over and above. So it'll be, one would think that it will allow for infill and expansion.
Right, thank you. Page 76 under the sewer network renewals, there's a couple of percentages mentioned there, and I'm just trying to get my head around, because I would have thought they'd be related to increased capacity, and I'm just trying to work out the 52% when it's a like-for-like pipe.
So
Page 76.
Sorry, I just want to get back there so that I can see it in front of me. So the 52% relates to the 52. It's 52% of the total project was like for like. So 48% of the project we increased the capacity. That makes sense. So over if we look at the length of the total project,
yep,
it's only 52% was like for like.
Okay, that makes sense.
Should have been clearer. I'd have to acknowledge that I had support from the CEO and my calculation of the increase in capacity of the pipe. I had an error, so thank you, Chief Hamilton.
About engineer and engineer.
My last question, several others have been answered, is just around this is on behalf of Mayor Rock, just around the Waihinau Bridge design. He's asked around a feasibility study and also around a business case that has allowed for this project to go to full design. And he's wondering if a business case has been done to get it to that point. And his reason for asking is based around the hoops that we've had to jump through with what the Wainawa storage project and with access to potential funding.
So if we just the commentary that we've progressed to the final design, that level of design has always been part of this portion of the project. So what it will deliver is it'll deliver the final design up to before peer review, and it will be able to provide the trust with an estimate of what this will cost. In terms of the full project following on from here, they will then need to go and source the funding for the delivery. And that the next steps of funding will require it would need to fund resource consent. It would need to fund procurement, project management, the actual build of the project, and I would imagine for that next piece they will need to do a business case in order to secure the funding. But the development of the business case hasn't been part of this design piece of the project.
Just to clarify for anyone watching, that council aren't paying for the construction of the bridge. This is the trust that is funding that through. Yeah. Thank you.
Further questions, discussion?
I was just I'm trying to make up my mind whether to say this or not, but and this is on behalf of Councillor Gallen, because he and I had a little chat a meeting or two ago.
Throw me under the bus.
Yeah, really, I thought it was a good idea. And following on from the question about upgrading the headworks to take account of possibly accepting wastewater from Greytown, is it possible in the scope of the bridge that could be considered as a way of assisting with the transport of? Because we're going to have to, if we're going to bring it up, we have to get it across the Waihinau. If we got thinking about building a bridge,
we're not building the bridge. That's
I know, but maybe you could swing a pipe up.
I would
Prop the bridge up.
looking at I can probably say the design of this bridge would not allow for a sewer main to be attached to it. That would be a whole different type of design and construction and consideration. This is a lightweight suspension bridge. But if there is a desire to go in that direction in the future, I think there would probably a more suitable bridge to, if you were to do that, probably put it over a different bridge or have a dedicated bridge for it.
So you're talking similar to the one they've just done in the hut?
Could I just reiterate that council will recall when we went through LTP discussions about the headworks, our initial cost estimate for that project was around $12 million and council approved $6 million. So we're already cutting back on what we're delivering with the headworks to fit within the budget. The scope of work does not include any additional wastewater coming from Greytown. So we're at half the estimate that we had originally got, and we're not scoping in anything from Greytown. I just want to be really clear that at the moment, that's not part of the plan. If you'd like, I'm happy to change the plan, but at the moment, it's
Well, no, that would be a consideration for an entity other than us, probably.
yes. And one would have thought that we'd be back at 12 million very quickly.
I don't have a question, but just a comment. I am loving this concept design. It looks incredible. It's wow. That in itself is going to draw people. So when you're next speaking to the trust, please pass on my congratulations to where they've got to so far.
What is interesting about the render that we see, it is it's all from the LiDAR data. So even the vegetation is existing vegetation that's not artistic renders. When this was presented to the trust and to the team, because it was a 3D model, it was quite impressive. And but we'll pass on the
It's so exciting.
Question on the bridge. Is 1.2 meters wide enough that two cyclists can pass each other in opposite directions?
It'll be tight, but that's the standard pedestrian stuff, bridges that are around it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking at it as to who gives way.
It'll be a bit of a, but yeah.
Someone can hop off the bike and lean on the side.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good. I was just trying to get my head around it.
Chicken.
Nice. Cool. Have any further questions, discussion? We have one recommendation, and that's that we receive the report. I'm happy to move that. That was seconded. Thank you, Councillor Della. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. 7.6, Ruamāhanga roads and corridor access.
Thank you. So I'll take the report as read. I think I would like to point out that we are coming to an end of the emergency works for Carterton. That's very exciting. We are still within the approved budgets, the budgets within the LTP, but also in our NZTA funding. That's very exciting. That we are seeing the end of that. It's been a hard slog to get to where we are, and also been relatively successful with the reinstatements that we have done. A lot of it has been put to the test. So even though we don't get that much weather in town out on the East Coast, it's still we do get the odd spells. So very happy with the work that the team has delivered. Everybody, like we've reported on this so many times, that we have a bit of an unorthodox approach to the reinstatement of these emergency works, where we take a low cost, high risk approach, because over the years that has served us well in Carterton. So what that means is we don't necessarily get a geotechnical design for every slip. If we were to do that, these reinstatements would have cost us in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So it works, it's fit for purpose for our community, and I'm just pleased that we're getting to the end of it. So by the end of this financial year, all of Cyclone Hale and Gabriel would have been completed. So I'm very excited. Happy to take questions.
Councillor Dillon.
I just see just stuck out like sump cleaning one. It just, you know, is that what sort of period is that over? Like it just seems like a number one sump cleaning. Wouldn't it be more or?
The sumps in town are cleaned in bulk. So when they are programmed to be cleaned annually, and we normally get a sucker truck in, and they're all getting cleaned out.
Yeah.
When there's one reported to be cleaned, that would have been of a service request or something that's out of the ordinary. So that would have been a reactive, maybe the routine crew going past, seeing that it's blocked, and they get out and fix it. But they totally agree with you. We wouldn't get a sucker truck to fix it.
Yeah. Just one question, Hannes. The reseals program is basically all finished apart from an AC surfacing work on Carter's Line, East Road, Taratai Road. What's AC surfacing?
So asphaltic concrete, but basically just asphalt. So that corner, the turning stresses on that corner is just is a bit too much there, and it's again replacing like for like. Yep. There's asphalt there, so it's we have a very small portion of our network in asphalt, so we try and stick to like for like treatment, especially with surfacing. When sometimes people do change, or councils change from asphalt to chip seal, that is quite a high risk thing to do. So a lot of chip loss would occur from that. Yeah, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have noticed that, because I travel that road a bit. It does chew out because of the nature of it and the large truck and trailer units that use it as a bypass. Yep. Cool.
Councillor Lawrence.
Page 102, subject very dear to my heart. I think Bridge 38 might be the Atawhakatu Bridge. And also, how come we've got two Bridge 38?
Sorry.
This is about the bridge, ongoing works for bridges, page 102, under CDC.
Maybe the Carrington factory bridges numbered wrong.
And can you just say the question again?
Well, apart from the fact we've got two Bridge 38s.
Yeah, that's probably just.
Yeah, but I think another type of, the second Bridge 38, I think it says here the Arawhakatu. I think it's the Atawhakatu.
Yes, you are correct.
That's a matter of, I wouldn't want people to fix the wrong bridge, considering that's what I drive over twice a day.
Duly noted. My apologies.
I don't think that was your fault.
I did authorise the report, so it is my fault.
Councillor Ayling.
Thank you. So I just had a question with regards to the Fulton Hogan employee who was burnt. I'm just wondering what the responsibility and potential liability that falls on council when something like that happens on our shed contract.
So we are still waiting for Fulton Hogan's full report. Fulton Hogan as an employer has very high health and safety standards, and when something like this happens, they do quite a comprehensive report. So the person is, from my understanding, is doing well. We haven't received the formal report yet, so we will look into that and see whether there's anything that was outside of the requirements of the contract. At a glance, it's probably highly unlikely that it was non-compliant with our contract specifications. The reason for that is that Fulton Hogan's internal health and safety specific requirements are normally higher than what we would specify in a contract.
Right. So thank you for that.
Further questions, discussion? Johanna, so I said you've tabled this document. Is that under this? Was that further on?
Speed management.
I think we could.
Speed management.
Yeah, there's another group.
We've got another one further on.
Yes.
Yes, we do have.
I mean, I'm happy to speak to it if you want to jump to the next one.
Got a report underwater operations, which I guess is the table, and then we've also got a 7.9 speed review, which I think the memo refers to.
Let's just do this one. We got any further questions or discussion on our roading report?
Talking about being given bits of paper, we've got these multicoloured.
There for
water.
The next one.
Okay. Yeah, I have no idea.
That's what I just said. It's correct. The next report.
Okay.
Okay, we have, I believe, one recommendation. Unless that we received a report, I'm happy to move that. We have a seconder. Councillor Terry Campbell, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thanks, James. Okay, 7.7 water operations report. Lawrence.
Chair. Right, so I will take the report as read and just go through a few additions that were from the previous report. There's headings, which was last time, in terms of the leaks, and basically it's sort of indicating that we are generally on top of the leakage and responding fairly quickly. And that is also reflected in the table towards the bottom, where the monthly volume of the water usage. So you'll note there's a bit of a drop in September to October, November, before your sort of higher totals you'd normally expect in summer. And that was when we did the leakage survey. So we were able to get ahead of some of the ones which would be starting to show up in summer. Generally, everything's going fairly smoothly. The wastewater, I've sort of given a total in terms of, an annual average compared to what we're receiving down at the wastewater treatment plant at the moment. So it's dry, as you'd expect during summer. And this is obviously reflecting in terms of we're managing the volumes in the reservoirs before going to the irrigation, and predominantly it is being used by the nursery, not the pivot. We're not actually running the pivot that regularly. And we have had an extension for Ballinger Place, which is the only sort of work we've been doing in the wastewater other than the main sort of upgrade for Lincoln Road.
And what is this?
Oh, yes. And also it was requested to have some sampling in terms of what the inlet sampling has been coming in and the irrigation sampling results. So that is all the parameters that we monitor monthly in terms of your BOD, biological oxygen demand, which is a rough sort of estimate in terms of how much load you are looking at in terms of the strength coming in. And we've got the irrigation. I was requested just the irrigation, and I've added in 12 months worth, even though we only really sample during the irrigation, so it won't quite align up in terms of dates.
If I can just add to this is obviously we try not to table information, but because there was a request, we thought it would be useful to table it. So we're not asking any decisions on the information that's tabled. This is really just for interest's sake.
Yeah.
And if you want this to be included in future reports, then we could. And if you want further information, please feel free to say so.
Or in terms of a summary and that sort of thing, yeah. So I've added on the report for the water, so I could include something similar in terms of because so you'll note for the irrigation, we've got 2 green squares. So that is for the BOD and E. coli. So in terms of compliance, those are the only 2 parameters, even though we monitor a lot wider range than just those 2 parameters. And then there's another, if it is discharged to water, there's a slightly different one.
And if I can just say it, we'll also circulate these tables for those that's online.
Thanks, Johannes.
So are these good or not?
Well, correct. Basically, it is conditional formatted. So if it's green, it's showing that we're in compliance with what the actual discharge is.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Drug testing in here as well?
We don't do that, but they do it up in Masterton. But that's more a monitoring as much as anything. As well as it was requested that we see whether or not we could do a bit of a comparison in terms of for nationally for leakage. So on page 105, there is a table from a report from Te Mata Arawai in terms of the national one. So it is, even though each council reports for the DIA on percentage leakage, Te Mata Arawai ask a slightly different calculation, because there are so many different ways of how people work out leakage compared to what Carterton does it. And we use what we treat going into the network and how much we record going to the customers. So we do a water balance compared to like Wellington, there's not many meters on there, so they have to do a different calculation. So this is a more standard international sort of calculation, and it's a table. So the 101 litres per connection per day in comparison to the national standard is well underneath the medians on a urban against an urban, let alone the mixed rural urban that we would be sort of evaluated against.
Just got one question.
Yeah.
In the E. coli on the inlet sampling,
Yes.
average DIV.
Sorry, yeah. It's because it is greater than 6,000 in terms of so it's divided by 0. Because we've got the greater than in there, it doesn't see it as a number.
So it's obviously working, your UV is really working well because it's down to 54.
We're not actually UVing at the moment. So that is just the natural UV as well as the attrition in the storage.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we do have the capacity to add in or relocate UV.
Mm-hmm.
If it's needed, we're not getting the die off. So it's a contingency at the moment.
Yep.
Been for quite some time, isn't it?
Pretty much since we've been operating from the reservoirs, yeah. So about 18 months now. Any questions?
Councillor Ayden?
Hi, just with regards to water restrictions, with the rainfall that we've had and that is forecast, is that going to be changing sometime shortly?
We are governed by what the river levels are. So if you actually look at the river levels up, it does come up with the rainfall, but it drops very, very rapidly back down to within a week, it's back down to that low levels. And we could do the same as what Masterton do, where you hear a radio sort of announcement saying, oh, restrictions are off, and then 3 days later they're saying restrictions are back on. So
yeah.
we've taken a bit more of a, yeah, we're not restricting too much. It's just handheld at the moment, but with the more regular rain, we probably would be considering actually stepping up a level.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Lawrence, I just had a question around discharges. Have we had any discharges into the Mangatiriri? I gather we're using all the water.
In the last discharge, I think, was back in November.
We haven't had any instancing.
No. Yeah, and yeah, we're storing it. I think the Majit is
40 days.
Yeah, 40 days in terms of before we're discharging, and by the time we actually finished discharging from the last reservoir, I think it was up to about 60 or 70 days that have been stored in there.
I just had a question on page 105 around water rate. Well, it's not really a question. I mean, just around the water races and the difficulties in maintaining flows. And for me, it just highlights how, if we can get this water storage in 1 hour off the ground, how that will be supported. So, yeah, fingers crossed.
And it sort of reflects similar in terms of we'll get a flush coming through down the rivers and we'll open it up, but it's only getting a little bit of water at a higher rate for a couple of days before we have to shut it back down again. So we're trying to get it through the system, but it does limit things. But
I thank you for the report. Any further questions, discussion?
Just something just to clarify. Page 103, when I'm looking through, it's got road leak. I assume that means that a lateral failure underneath and it's coming through the seal. And you call it a road leak?
103.
Yeah.
Service requests.
Yes.
Second bottom line.
It's basically a lateral in terms of it's just a general term in terms of what people actually record it, or whether it's
probably a leak in the road. So compared to a leak on the
berm or anything.
So most leaks in the road is on laterals, but it's not to say that it could be on the main as well.
Any further questions, discussion, Lawrence? No. We have one recommendation, and that's that we received a report from the mover and the seconder, Kerry Campbell and Councillor Dello. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Talk to you later.
Yeah, okay.
Take that on. 7.8, update on operational consents.
Hello, everyone. So I take a report as read. We didn't have much significant progress since the last meeting, but a lot of communication has been happening between Karakia Wellington and us. Just one highlight in regards to the landfill renewal. We are probably looking into reviving this existing assessment of environmental effects, because I did contact a few consultants and they're all extremely busy to start with. So then based on the various inputs and discussions, especially with the previous consultant, we got an idea that we could probably revive the existing one, adding on to the requirements that Greater Wellington needs it. But again, the previous consultant is also busy, so probably need some more time. But otherwise, there's nothing significant to highlight.
Thanks, G. Questions for G?
Just one, G, the waterways consents.
Yeah.
Discussions with GW. Are the discussions around the length of the consent we're applying for, or are there a lot of complications?
It's also about the volume that can be in. So there's a couple of other stuff as well that needs to be addressed. So it needs to be justified from our side that this is acceptable or this is reasonable. So it's just not the time or duration of the consent.
So are they pushing back?
But it's the normal, my understanding is that it's the normal process for any resource consent. So they're gonna require those, that evidence, regardless. So it's not necessarily a pushback on this particular consent. It's just the requirement on resource consents. It's similar to the flat point resource consent. It wasn't so much about that resource consent. There was just a few things that you have to do for every resource consent.
It's also about the effects on the river. So that's also another concern they were discussing about.
Thank you.
Councillor Lawrence.
I ask this every time, but the Kaipatangata surface water take expired 2013, and people say, well, there's consents all over the place, which have gone miles older than that. But I think this might be becoming quite urgent in respect of where we are with potential movement of our assets to the water services, new water services, that sort of thing. And I think we might be in a better position if we actually did have that consented.
So we are operating under that consent at the moment, and we are in the process of renewing that consent.
So currently
it's gone on for years.
So it was, there was quite a long period where it was just not left and not actively worked at.
Yeah.
We picked it up again when we repurposed the savings from the alternative water source study. We started that process again. So the team is currently working on that.
Any idea how long? No, I guess the answer. Piece of string stuff.
It depends upon the responses as well we get.
Yeah.
So currently engaging with the stakeholder to get a response.
Gee, I just had a question around the Frederick Street groundwater take.
Yeah.
And I know there's been signals of changes to nitrate. Has there been any more communications along those
In
lines?
terms of regulation and legislation, not that I'm aware of. We know that it is a hot topic for the future. That's why it's considered in our long-term plan or in the infrastructure strategy, but we haven't had any formal communication.
Right. Any further questions, discussion? We have one recommendation, and that's that we receive the report. I'm happy to move it. We have a seconder. Councillor Gallen, all in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. You. 7.9, Carterton District Council speed review. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. So at the previous meeting, the committee gave instruction to His Worship to write to NZTA. He has done that. They have come back with similar advice to what they've provided to staff. So this was just an update on the feedback that we've received. In Yesterday I sent through a memo of what would consultation look like if we were to if we wanted to progress this. Then we'll need to prepare for consultation again, or we would need to prepare the speed management plan again. What we would propose is that we have two separate plans. One for the schools, early childhood centres and marae, and then one for the local roads. The reason for that is that they have different levels of requirements. So for the schools, we don't have to consult. We just need to engage with the schools, and it's really just to verify their times. So once we're happy with that, then that plan needs to be endorsed. Then we submit it again to the Director of Land Transport. The local roads one would take a little bit more time. So that's when we review the local road section or the priority roads of our speed management plan. Look at it through the lens of the new rule. So it might be minor adjustments in terms of the new speed, the generic speed limits, and then doing the cost benefit disclosure for every road. Then that's included in the plan. That then needs to be endorsed, go through to back to the Director of Land Transport, and then we can implement. In the meantime, there was a window where we could apply for low cost, low risk funding from NZTA. We've put in an application that in the event that it is approved, that we would come back to council to get the support for council share or not. So the intention of the memo is that if we wish to continue, this would be a rough timeline of how we would proceed. But it was really just an update to the committee of where we at with the speed management.
Thanks, Johannes. I know I think his worship mentioned that he was going to be speaking with the minister. Yes. I guess we wait until maybe an outcome from that. Will we progress? Possibly. No.
We have received a lot of community feedback on where we're at. We've attempted to approach NZTA once with ourselves and through the mayor, and the answers have all been very consistent. Our recommendation is waiting is unlikely to change the outcome, and if we want to do this for our community, I suggest we.
So does that need to come to the next council meeting or can we?
Plan's been adopted by council.
Yep.
And was adopted by council previously. What we would need to do is undertake further consultation. I don't think council needs to re-adopt the plan.
No, council, well, we would need, so there would be, in terms of the local roads portion, there would be the full consultation process with hearings and deliberations, and then a recommendation to council. So that will have to come back to council. But for the schools, we could finalise that plan. The chief executive can sign off that plan, and then we can wait for funding for the funding to be approved before we implement. So I think that's the update of where we are. I think a steer from the committee is probably good. I know we've got the views of the community that they really want to see the changes happen. I
know that, yeah, I don't want to speak on behalf of everyone, but I know we went through a very good process initially, and we were in agreement around the table about the changes that we'd made. So, I mean, for me, I'm happy to progress with. So I'm not sure how others around the table think. Delaying and delaying and delaying. Councillor Diller.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm in favour of us proceeding. The development of the two separate SMPs, to me, may be the way that I would be looking at. Get the Marae Early Childhood Centre, schools, etc., across the line first, and then if we wanted to later attack the local roads again. But the costing, Jeff, you've got on the back there, 20K, is that for the whole speed management plan and the implementation of it, or?
No, so that's just for the revision of the plan, and it's just a revision. That's just a high level estimate of what I anticipate it might take to review the plan.
Okay.
That does not include the implementation of the speed changes. Noting that we have in the previous financial year purchased a large volume of the signs already. So the cost for implementation would be more around plant and labour when we do those.
It seems to me to be a no-brainer to get part A done of it as soon as possible. And then look at implementing the rest. My thoughts.
Happy to do the whole lot.
Just get on and do it. There's so many people in our community that are just asking on a not quite daily basis, certainly a weekly basis, when it's all going to kick off.
I think also these also we're gonna prepare the plan. In the meantime, it does give His Worship the time to talk to the minister. If we get a positive feedback before the time that we go out to the market or for consultation, we can skip that step. So we can do both, I believe.
That's a question, cost benefit analysis. Who's going to do that and how do you do it?
So that'll be done by the professional services, and the new rule has some guidance and templates of how you do that. They have various. I haven't gone into the detail of it, but they consider, for instance, the cost of an accident of that. I know on the safe and appropriate speeds, that was always a high consideration in the cost benefit, but also they would then consider probably things like emissions, travel time, those kind of things. So, but again, like I said before, we're looking to engage a very smart person that can give you the real answer, not me.
So we went out to consultation if we had to. We'd just consult on the plan that we agreed on. We wouldn't go back to the square one of 80Ks from everywhere to everywhere.
Our thinking is that we would start with our approved plan, the current approved plan, and then work from there. I think we know that our community has endorsed those changes. From the initial thoughts, there was things that they didn't endorse, so why would we go out there again?
Further questions, discussion? Thank you. Recommendations. We have one, and that's that we receive the report. Happy to move that. Give a second. Thank you, Councillor Lawrence. All in favour?
Listen, are we proceeding? Or can we?
Do you want to do a second recommendation?
Yes, please.
Okay, we have a second recommendation, and that's that we note the proposed next steps
Yes, and proceed.
and proceed. Councillor Cherry Campbell is happy to move that, and Councillor Newman is seconded. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Okay. 7.10, update on planning resource consents.
Thank you, Chair. I'm aware that we are over time, so I will try and keep this quite short. I was just intending on sharing my screen because I do suspect that number 6 on page 121 might have been just a little bit of interest, which was a building 3 metres higher than what is permitted, given it's going to be 13.1 metres, and there may just be a few people wondering what this building and structure actually was. So if you'll indulge me, I will just, I'm already lined up on Teams, I'll quickly share my screen and show you what it is going to look like, because it is quite lovely.
It was a picture of you, so.
I was going to say.
Oh, that looks amazing.
So as you can see, the whole tower, the new porch and the conservatory, they're all part of the additional rebuilds. So when you look at it in that context, that 3 metres additional height over and above what's permitted in the rural zone is very much fitting into that character of that Edwardian home, and it has been modelled on a similar style structure up in the Rangatiki district that's listed with Heritage New Zealand. So I'm happy to answer any other questions in relation to the consents that are listed in the report.
Questions? Councillor Ayling.
Thank you. I just had a question with regards to the demolition of a building within Carterton's character area. The last line where it says that there's going to be the space covered by a mural.
Yes.
Is this is the same spot where we were talking about potentially having a green space, or this is something different?
This is the shops that are currently being in the process of demolition right now.
Yeah.
The facades are still there. I'm not aware of discussions about green spaces there, but that may happen. We're intending to talk to the developer with some sort of fence. We don't want a nasty, horrible looking vacant site. So some fence back, possibly set back with some outdoor furniture, some murals, and then there's a time restriction on the length of time before construction needs to happen on that site.
And what's the process if after a year nothing's happening? What does council have at that point to then enforce that 1 year time frame?
We have abatement notices, infringements, applying to the court. It's all very legal tools. It does cost money.
Yeah.
But we do have that up our sleeves because they will then be in breach of a consent condition.
So thank you.
Further questions?
I've just got on the relocatable dwellings.
Yes.
As part of the consent conditions, is there a time frame for those to be
brought to a suitable standard?
Yes, and habitable?
Yes, there is. In the rural zone, we generally allow 2 years. In the residential zone, we allow a year.
Okay.
As a visual appearance.
Yeah, because it's we don't want more in the area that haven't been amended. One on Anderson's Line as well, is that was only last year, wasn't it, that was relocated? Yeah. Thank you.
Further questions? Discussion? We have one recommendation, that's that we receive the report. We can move in a seconder. Councillor Della, Councillor Gallen, all in favour?
Yeah.
Against? Agreed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And advisory group updates, 7.11.
I might just speak to it. And the purpose of this report is just to provide a connection between the various advisory groups and the committee, and create a platform where those minutes can become public and tabled.
I just had one question around this, and that was on the forestry rate update. Was that 30,000 each, or was that 10,000 each and a total of 30,000?
30,000.
30,000 each? Thank you.
Still nobody's put their hand up to do it.
We have any further questions, discussion on that? Move to recommendations on page 122, which is receives the draft meeting notes from the people and places and rural advisory groups. Councillor Cherry Capel's happy to move that. We have a seconder. Councillor Lawrence, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. And our last is Karakia Whakamutunga. Kia whakaerea tapu, kia wātea, kia tiriki whakataha ai, kia tiriki whakataha ai. Haumie, uie, taiki. Good, everybody. Meeting closed.
Closed at 10 to 12.
Very quick picture.
Closed at 10 to 12.